Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Curtis Morrison.
And I'm Rafael Urena, partners at Morrison Urena.
And we are here to talk about DV litigation.
A lot happening.
Yeah. So the first thing that I'm going to do is talk about an update for DV 2020 selectees, an update for DV 2021 selectees. Then we'll shortly talk about the DV 2022 lawsuit that we are doing. And then we'll do question and answers. If you're asking a question now in comments, be sure to indicate what DV year you are. And if you are a named plaintiff in a lawsuit, indicate which lawsuit. It's very helpful information for us. Okay. So DV 2020. For those of you that have been along with the journey, you know that we won summary judgment and the government was ordered to issue the reserved 9,095 visas to the Gomez class. The government has appealed that order, and Judge Mehta says that those visas do not have to be issued until the appeals court issues its opinion. Since the hearing is in September, that means it is unlikely that any reserved DV 2020 visa will be issued this year. A reasonable expectation is early 2023. Okay. Let's skip ahead to DV 2021. As you know, DV 2021 is a little different from DV 2020 because there's no certified class. So there are groups of people that are treated differently. However, one thing is the same. Judge Mehta and Judge Chutkan both issued stays of their orders that say we have to have an opinion from the appeals court before any reserved DV 2021 visa is issued. We got another order like that today from Judge Mehta in the Good Luck case that more or less says that we will not have the order on summary judgment until the opinion is issued at the appeals court. So reserved DV 2021 visas will not be available until early 2023 at best. Okay. So DV 2022. So far, we filed a couple of small group cases to challenge very specific barriers to entry. And we filed, I think, 5 individual mandamus lawsuits for DV 2022 selectees. And we have another 5 we're getting ready to file. And then we are planning a big group case for May that you have until April 30th. DV 2022 selectees who have submitted a DS-260 have until April 30th to register for. Okay. What do you think, Rafael? Should we go to questions or should we keep talking?
Yeah, I think you summarized everything that's happening for the prior DV 2020 and 2021 years, and what's the current state of DV 2022. So we can just hop right into the questions here. We don't have many questions so far. So if you want to ask a question, get in there early and we can answer your questions.
I will say if you want to register for the group lawsuit, you do that on our website. It's totally automated. There's a web page where we explain all about the group lawsuit. It's right there at the bottom of our screen right now. And you click right below where it says register to go through the process and become a member of that lawsuit.
Right. So there's a quick question. It's sort of personalized. Do you think that being a plaintiff in Good Luck case will affect my chance to get an F1 visa? I don't think it will affect your chance. Obviously, every determination a consular officer makes is personalized. So I don't think you'll have any trouble getting your F1 visa if you were, as long as you're eligible for the F1 visa by being a Good Luck plaintiff.
I agree. I want to add one little thing. Do not go in that consular interview talking about your dream of immigrating to America. The existing criteria still apply to you, so you cannot have intent to immigrate. The consular officer has to trust that you will leave the United States when you are done studying.
I'll hop into a question. I think this is a fair question. It's sort of a question, more of a sentiment. I think we are starting to lose hope for DV 2020. It's been 3 years now. We understand that it's been a long time. It's been it's since the end of the close of the 2021 deadline has been about a year and a half. So the United States court system takes time. There's many layers to it. But we want you to still have confidence. I don't think there's any reason to lose hope. DV 2021, we're successful at summary judgment, and it looks like they're going to be successful at the appeal. So there's no reason to lose hope. But we understand that it's been a long time that you have been waiting for your opportunity to immigrate to the United States. So we're conscious of that. Curtis, do you want me to keep going? Do you have any questions?
Oh, yeah. I was hoping that you'd be the question moderator. I always pick bad questions.
Okay. I got another question, I think. Here you go. Dear Mr. Morrison, many DV cases from Asia, especially from Afghanistan, are still waiting for 2 NLs with low case numbers, and they already changed their interview location to Islamabad because the Kabul embassy has suspended operations. So please let us know what will be the results of DV 2022 for applicants belonging to Asia and Afghanistan. I can hop right into this, Curtis.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think the situation in Islamabad and the situation for Afghanis is not unique. We have many people who are DV 2022 that have low case numbers but are still waiting for interviews. What we do know is that the State Department has deprioritized giving interviews for diversity visa applicants in one shape or another. The interviewing of applicants is not as robust as it has been in past years. So I think all DV 2022 selectees and need to start considering whether they want to participate in a lawsuit because there is less of a chance than there has been in prior years that they will obtain an interview, and there is sufficient grounds for litigation to ensure that they do have an interview and maintain an opportunity to come to the United States.
I will add one thing that's not an answer to Hakeem, but to all his fellow DV selectees in Afghanistan and also in Iraq. You must do what Hakeem did and ask KCC to reassign your interview from Kabul or Baghdad, because State Department will not do that for you. They are automatically, they are not your friends. You have to make the request. I just dropped a link, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, into comments with instructions on how to do that.
Curtis has been following these numbers quite closely, so he's going to have some insight onto this. Is the Ethiopian embassy fully working? My case number is around 20,000. So can we have a chance for an interview?
First, I want to say that there is a lot of misinformation on this topic, because I saw Addis Abeba's Facebook status today where they say, oh, all is normal. We are issuing DVs. And it's very frustrating because it looks like they've issued 17. There are 100 applications currently there. Well, less than 17 that were issued. That's negligible. Okay, so they won't come anywhere near close to issuing what they should for Ethiopia based upon what they've done so far. So I hope that as many Ethiopian DV selectees as possible consider participating in our lawsuit, because I do not have faith that Ethiopia is going to issue a significant number of DVs without being pushed.
Okay, I have a question. Question here. Hi, Accra, Ghana appears to be one of the countries having more selectees, over 3,000. Yet, as I speak, they have only accepted 55 cases. What are the chances that about 50% will have interviews? I would say that it would be very slim to none that they will have 1,500 interviews in Accra if they've only accepted 55. We're pretty far along into this the physical year. So I think the chances are slim. And I'm telling all DV 2022 selectees to consider litigation, because there is a high chances that you will not be interviewed this year based on your selection.
Right. If you're looking for those statistics on like how we know how many visas have been transferred, how many applications have been transferred to an embassy or visas issued, I have just shared the link that we rely on from a guy named Francis that's very accurate.
Here's a question. It's an interesting question. So, dear Mr. Morrison and Urena, my wife and I are selectees. Case number is 2022 AS 12,000. Have already gone for our interviews, and I was put into administrative processing, not my wife. So we're waiting for a decision still. Is it relevant for us to join your lawsuit? I think your situation is unique in the fact that you have been interviewed already and you're awaiting administrative processing. As the case goes forward, I think your case specifically, I think you should consider reaching out to us personally if it appears that you are not going to get a decision soon. So I would wait a little while and then contact us personally about the avenues we have to ensure that you yourself will have a conclusion of your administrative processing.
To clarify one thing on what Rafael said, that you cannot participate in this group lawsuit after April 30th, though. So I did have many people last year, dozens of people last year who were scheduled for interview, did not join Good Luck lawsuit, and then their interview was canceled because of COVID or border closures like in Australia. So the lawsuit is sort of like insurance, but like Rafael said, you could always reach out to us later with another, and we'll talk about a solution then.
Right. Right. If you have been scheduled for an interview and haven't gone to an interview, it's a little different situation than this, than the person asking. This person has already been interviewed, is in administrative processing.
Right.
So there's a distinction there, but yes, I would say reach out to us personally, but you can still join the lawsuit if you want to hedge your risk as well.
Good way to look at it.
Here we go. This is an interesting question. I have just received my retainer agreement. Is this the last stage of joining the DV lawsuit, or am I supposed to do something else? If you have received your retainer agreement based on this DV 2020 litigation, you are part of the case.
2022.
2022, correct. Just know that if you receive the agreement, you have part of the case. We may reach out to you to do some other things based on the litigation, but you can ensure that you will be part of the lawsuit.
Right. So if you checked yes, that you would be willing to provide a declaration and help us craft the winning case by sharing your hardship story, so we could put that in writing for the judge. Rosanna on our team will be in touch with you. She will send you a Word document for you to fill out. So you only if you checked yes will you receive follow-up about that.
Here's a question from Mohammed. Hi, will the lawsuit put pressure on small capacity embassies to expedite interviews before the end of the year? It very well may. Certainly if there's an order telling the government to expedite interviews, as we've seen in prior litigation in DV 2020 and DV 2021, certainly they'll have to expedite interviews around the globe. The lawsuit itself will bring attention to diversity visas applications, so we may see an uptick in interviews based on the lawsuit as well.
Yeah, I want to add to that. The kind of pressure it puts is indirect pressure, right? So the judge is not going to order the individual embassy to do something, but what will happen is the State Department will want to impress the judge with how visas are being issued, and they can't do that unless visas are issued.
Okay, here's a question for somebody that's been paying very close attention. Sanjay said, thanks, Mr. Morrison and Urena. I was listening to litigation argument where one of the department lawyers had proposed issuing 2020 and 2021 visas. That was Samuel Press of the Office of Immigration Litigation made that argument at the preliminary injunction phase for good luck. So he said, asked that the visas be issued in 2023 fiscal year. Our lawyers made a fuss out of it, stating it to be unrealistic and irrelevant. Since your statement now says nothing is going to happen before 2023, do you not think it would have been better deal to agree at the time? Just pondering. I don't think it would have been a better to do the deal at the time, because I think this is the route they were going to take regardless. The government is seeking to preserve power. And it's really an executive decision of bureaucrats that have worked at the State Department for a long time. They want to preserve the power to choose which visas they want to issue, and also they want to preserve the power to refuse to process visas based on 212F, the travel ban laws. So I don't think we could have made a deal with the government on this that would have allowed us to avoid the appeal route. I think it was made in-house, and they were going to do it regardless of what Meta ordered. So the short answer to that is no.
I agree.
Okay, so here is a decision from question from Emily. Please, can you tell us what are the government lawyers' main argument to overturn Meta's judgment in Gomez v. Biden? The main argument is that we've been doing this a long time, and since we've been doing this the way we've been doing it for a long time, you have to let us do it. And so it's called deference. So the judges have to give the State Department deference in their interpretation of the laws. So what Meta says is that regardless if you've been doing it for a long time, what you're doing is so contrary to the law, I should not give you deference. I should not listen to the way you have interpreted it. So that's their main argument. And I think they're going to have an uphill climb convincing the appellate panel that their interpretation is rational, because we've seen it go before many other judges who have interpreted the statute itself, 212F, and the arguments made by the State Department, and have disagreed with the State Department. They're saying they didn't have the power to do this, and it's not set forth in the statute. So that is their main argument to go in the appeal court. Okay. Here, Hisham says, is the government's goal in the appeal to overturn the judge's decision, or does it just want to postpone the issuance of visas? I think the goal of the government is to overturn the judge's decision. I think if they really just wanted to postpone the issuance of visas, they would have reached out to us and sort of made a deal. Without going to the appeals court. I think they really want to overturn the judge's decision. I don't think this is a tactic to delay the issuance of visas.
Here, I've got one more. Isaac asked, do you have any information on the U.S. Embassy in Monrovia on how they are processing DV cases? Monrovia is not the worst embassy this year. They have already issued 38 diversity visas from 24 cases, and 103 cases total have been transferred there. Still negligible compared to what they need to do, but there are embassies like Khartoum and Addis Ababa that are worse.
Okay, so we have another question here. It's about timing. Timing questions are always hard because we seem to be guessing, but I'll jump right in from the question. Hi, if there is a hearing in September, what are the chances that the judge will issue his order before the end of this year in 2022? So I'm going to say the end of the year 2022 is December 30th. I think if we get a decision from the appeals court before the end of the year, Judge Mehta will issue a decision quickly. It's essentially going to be much of what he's already written in the preliminary injunction decision that he's issued. So he'll issue a decision very quickly, but that's going to really depend on when the appeals court issues a decision. Curtis has been speculating that the appeals court will issue the decision sometime around the end of the year 2022.
I'm hopeful for that. Okay, I don't predict the future. That's just what I'm hopeful for.
Right. So, so I think the time that the answer to that question is really when the appeals court issues the decision, and that question may be towards the appeals court anyway. So I think that we will have a decision sometime around the end of 2022, close to the beginning of 2023, on the appeal from the appeals court.
I see one. Krishna asks, we wonder why U.S. Embassy Kathmandu not faithfully processing 2022. Okay, what is unique with DV 2022 from DV 2020 and DV 2021 is the barriers DV 2022 selectees face are not transparent. They're indirect. They're difficult to see. Basically, in November of 2021, the State Department, November 16th, the State Department directed all the embassies that they had discretion over which visa categories they wanted to issue and how many visas they wanted to issue. The State Department will not release that cable because they know they are, it may not be lawful what they directed embassies to do, the authority that they gave embassies in that cable. And so just at Kathmandu and all embassies, if you're seeing an embassy choosing to issue tons of student visas or employment visas and then no or little few DVs, that's why they were given this false authority. So that's why litigation is important, because we want to challenge that barrier. Anything you want to add?
No, I think that summarized it perfectly. I have another question. After we win the appeal, do you think Judge Mehta will give an order to distribute good luck visas with Gomez and other cases at the same time, or will he delay that for good luck plaintiffs? I think this is just conjecture too. It's just speculating. We really don't know what Mehta is going to do at this point, but I would think that if they're processing visas to begin with, there's no reason why good luck plaintiffs could not receive visas at the same time everybody else is. If they're having people go into the embassies at the same time, they could have good luck plaintiffs go into the embassy with Gomez and go plaintiffs as well. And I also think that's going to happen because Judge Mehta is probably going to issue an order for good luck very quickly after the appeal court makes a decision on this case.
Okay, I have one. Nicholas asked, what is the cutoff number for the plaintiffs in the lawsuit? I'm not sure by cutoff number whether you're talking about case number or you're talking about number of plaintiffs. We don't have a limit on the number of plaintiffs. As of before the weekend, we had almost 600. I expect it's going to be 1,000 to 2,000, but I could be wrong. But we don't have a limit on the number of plaintiffs, only a deadline, which is April 30th. If you don't participate by April 30th, you cannot become a plaintiff in this lawsuit. I want to add one more thing. Sometimes people think, well, let me wait till the end of the fiscal year and see if I get a visa, and then I can join a lawsuit. I know that people think that because every day I hear from DV 2021 and DV 2022, 20 and DV 17 and all these past years saying, hey, can we file a lawsuit now? The answer is yes, but it would fail. So no, the law is very clear that if you want to challenge the rate of your visa adjudication in a fiscal year, you have to file that lawsuit in that fiscal year. So I encourage you, if you think litigation is an option for you, to join the litigation while it is while it will work, which is during the fiscal year, not file a lawsuit after the end of the fiscal year.
That's right. And I think that if you are really intent on coming to the United States, we have made litigation somewhat relatively affordable for most people. I understand that there's difficulties in getting money for a lot of people, and will be expensive for some people, but we've tried to make it as accessible as we can for a lot of people. And it's relative, the cost of litigation for a selectee is relative to the application fees for a DV selectee. So I think if you were really intent and really serious about coming to the United States, you should consider that option for litigation. Okay, I have a question here from Nicholas. Please, do you have a cutoff number for the lawsuit? We do not. We do not have.
I just answered that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I missed that one.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was talking. I just went off on a tangent after I answered it. Here, I'll do this one. Amy asks, do you have some news about Paris embassy? I just checked the statistics, the link I shared earlier, and it looks like over 100 DVs have been issued in Paris, which says that for percentage number of DVs in France, that's doing a lot better than a lot of embassies. So you're not in a bad position at Paris compared to other DVs. Are you still facing the barriers that were challenging? Yes. Do I recommend that you participate in litigation? Yes.
Okay, looking for some questions here.
Oh, actually, I want to get this one real quick. Asifa, I see you're a testafe plaintiff. I'm going to have individual conversations with all 11 of our testafe plaintiffs who have not been issued visas this week about options of going forward with that case or participating in our next group case. So we will be in touch.
Here, it's not a question, but I want to get some thanks. Self-plug here. Kofi says, hello, I'm a DV 2020 winner from Ghana who went through Mohammed v. Trump lawsuit and living in America now. Thanks to Urena and Curtis, I was able to get it. Well, we're very happy that you're here, Kofi. Mohammed was a great case. And the United States is a better place because you are here.
Thank you. And Kofi brings up an interesting point. Sometimes I hear from DV 2022 selectees, well, your lawsuits didn't work for the last 2 years because they're still waiting on visas. The people you see in the groups are waiting on visas, but we have 1,300 families who we represented that are already living in the U.S. with green cards from Diversity Visa 2020 and 2021.
Right.
We just continue to fight for the ones that don't have visas yet, because it's the right thing to do.
That's right, and we won't stop until the end. Okay. Here. Let's see what else we got. Here's a question. Hello, I mailed my embassy, Ivory Coast, regarding DV-22 about my case. They told me it was still not shared by KCC, and KCC told me the DS-260 is not processed. I want to know, does KCC process cases according to the embassy available slots, and how the court can help us? This is a issue that people like to discuss a lot and theorize a lot about. And we really, I think, and nobody can be for certain on how they really do this over at KCC. But what I do know is that once the DS-260 is processed, the embassy then tells the National Visa Center, which then speaks to KCC about how many selectees they will send for interviews at the embassy based on the available slots. So they do tell KCC and NBC the availability of visas or interview slots before the cases are sent to the embassy.
I'll take the second part of that question, how the court case can help us. The entire first question that you asked, scenario, is about another barrier. That's the barrier of the order and the process that they use to process visas. The barriers that we are challenging, actually two different barriers, are the false authority that embassies have, where they think they don't have to issue DVs, and also the State Department's false authority, where they think the program is optional. I mean, Congress told them 55,000 visas a year for DVs, and they don't think that they are bound by that. Okay, so those are two barriers that you face that you don't realize that you face, that we will try to remove with the lawsuit.
Here's an interesting question. In case of losing the appeal in Gomez, will you appeal the decision of the Court of Appeal and continue to fight for your plaintiffs? So Jamal, after the District Court of Appeals issues a decision, you have to go to the Supreme Court. And to have your case heard at the Supreme Court is not a matter of right. So they'll have to grant certiorari and will have to be accepted. It's very difficult to do that. We'll have to judge the decision at that point to see if it's worthwhile to take to the Supreme Court of the United States. So we'll see. But I am hopeful, and I don't believe we will lose. I think we'll be back in a great position.
Right. I have an announcement. I know how many DV 2022 selectees have signed up to be plaintiffs in our group lawsuit. As of today, we have a total of 684 families.
And that's great news. Some people just like to talk about these numbers, and they say, oh, too many people is not good enough, or that there are going to be too many. But when you bring a lawsuit like this with this many people, it gets a judge's attention. Sometimes, and especially a case where time is of the essence, like DV litigation, you want to have a judge's attention so he knows or she knows that it's very important what we're talking about, and that it's affecting many people, not just one person. So there is strength in numbers in these types of lawsuits, and we have seen in previous lawsuits that it is beneficial to people who participate in these group lawsuits that we have lots of people going to the court.
And I'll add, it's also important that it's a diverse selection of selectees, and we pride ourselves on that. As DV 2021 selectees know, Good Luck was probably the lawsuit with the most diverse nationality of plaintiffs in the history of U.S. law, and we expect this group case will be similar in that we will have plaintiffs from all over the globe that will represent a diverse faces of the DV program. And I think that makes the case more compelling.
And there's a second aspect of having this, that having a lot of people, the media pays attention to it as well. So the court of popular opinion is something that is very important in law as well. So when we bring lawsuits on with big groups, journalists pay attention to that, and they want to know a little bit more. And Curtis has done a great job of communicating what has been going on with diversity visa selectees for the past 2 years to the media. And one of the ways he's done that is offering such a wide array of people and wide array of stories to journalists so they can have a story to write about.
I like to do that.
Here, thank you. I have a question from Walt, who appears to be from Morocco. I hope I got that flag right. Thank you for the efforts. What is your expectation for what will happen for the 21 Good Luck? This is my expectation. We'll go before the Court of Appeals in September. All the attorneys from Gomez, Good Luck, related cases, and Ray as well, will argue brilliantly before the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals will issue a decision sometime in the fall or winter of 2022, and then they'll commence issuing visas by perhaps spring at the latest, sometime in the beginning of 2023. That's my expectation. That's what I think is going to happen.
I found out yesterday I can't say summer, spring, fall because seasons are different in the Southern Hemisphere.
Oh, that is right. How Eurocentric of the Northern Hemisphere.
So that's why I say early 2023 is the expectation for issuance of reserved visas. That's the reasonable expectation.
I got to reframe. I got to decolonize my mind. That's what I have to do.
Decolonize your mind. I like that. Okay, so there's a question here that allows me to talk about something. DV 2021 selected and DS form for North Macedonia. North Macedonia is not in the Schengen area, correct, Rafael?
Yes, I think so. I don't think it is.
Okay. So if you were not at an embassy that was protected by the Ray order, meaning not in the Schengen area, not in South Africa, Brazil, or China, and you were not a good luck plaintiff, your DV 2021 journey is over. Okay. And I'm sorry, that's hard news. We were hoping for some relief from Congress. It didn't come through. There's still a pending shot in Congress. I just don't have any faith in it.
I think this is a good question for DV 2022 selectees that are thinking about joining the lawsuit, because this is a question that we unfortunately get every day.
2020.
Correct. Yes. My summary will get to the question, but I just wanted to bring attention to this question based on people that are thinking about joining the 2022 lawsuit, because Curtis answers this question probably once an hour for the past 2 years, or at least since the close of DV 2020. What does it take to join the DV 2020 lawsuit? You can't join a DV 2020 lawsuit. Luckily, DV 2020 selectees are protected by the class, but you can't join a lawsuit after the close of the year. It's not going to be successful. You could if somebody sold it, but you're not going to get any benefit from that lawsuit.
Right. You have to get on the train before it leaves the station. Choo choo.
Shout out to Sahar. Big thanks to Sahar, our Arabic influencer and diversity visa. Thank you, Sahar. You're great.
Thank you, Sahar, for sharing information always diligently. Nate asked a question. Where do you intend to file a lawsuit? Rafael, do you want that one? Or?
I think it's up in the air right now. We're entertaining different venues, but there's one place we have our eyes set on. We're working out the logistics for that right now, so we don't have an answer for your question.
Sharif Salam, thanks for your fruitful effort. If you can shed light on DV 2022 litigation and its effect on the selectees in it. I assume you are talking about not the little group cases we had, but the big group case that we're about to file. For the big group case we're going to file, we don't know what the effect is going to be until we go through it. We just know what we're going to fight for. Okay. Our goal is to get as many visas as possible for our clients. That could happen two different ways. One is the State Department could issue visas to our plaintiffs so they can impress the judge. It's happened in every group lawsuit we ever filed. Second way is judge orders the State Department to issue visas or remove barriers to visa issuances. Also, great outcome. Those are two good outcomes that could come from participating in lawsuits.
Okay, let me see.
Tafin asked a question here. I'll get. Kennedy plaintiffs will have any benefits. Morrison has special methods for getting advantage of 995 visas. Okay. We are offering consular processing support for our Kennedy DV 2020 plaintiffs. What that means is we will help you negotiate the consular processing system and do everything we can to make sure that you get one of the reserved visas. That is not going to happen right now. That's an early 2023 thing. Okay. And yes, we're still committed to helping you, but we can't do it right now. Right now, we have a deadline for our appeal brief, April 21st, and that's our focus. If we don't win the appeal, Kennedy plaintiffs get nothing. We have to win the appeal.
I have a question here. Hi, I'm a DV 2021 winner, and my question is, if the visas are to be issued for plaintiffs, will the process be in chronological order? The answer to that is we do not know yet. We know that it's certainly not issued in chronological order during the fiscal year. So we don't know if that's how they're going to do it at the end of the year. So, or at least strictly, right? And we have to wait until they start processing or start giving us more information, because the judges have not been inclined to pressure them to give us more information about how they're going to do it. And they haven't been inclined to pressure them to do it in a certain type of way. So they've been giving them discretion in that aspect. So we'll have to wait and see until, one, they start processing visas, or two, they give us some information on how they're going to do it.
I want to take this one. Elias asked, do you think KCC will process all the DS-260s that have been submitted? No.
No.
They are not your friends.
I have a question. So Miranda asks, hi, Curtis and Rafael. My question is about, will there be a strong argument by lawyers of the psychological state of DV 2020 and DV 2021? There certainly will not be that argument at the appeals court. The appeals court is sort of dry in this aspect, because they're going to look at really the law and whether the judge got the law right. Those arguments will be made at the district court level for DV 2020 and DV 2021 if we are victorious at the Court of Appeals about this pace of processing. So that's really an argument we'll revisit after the appeals court victory, when we're asking the judge to force the State Department to issue it more quick, issue those visas more quickly.
Elmedy asked, is there any family lawsuit instead of a group lawsuit 2020 DV, and when will it be? I don't know if you could mean two different things here. Are you talking about your DV 2022 selectee and you want an individual lawsuit for your family? Because if so, right now we are offering those, and we're offering them at, I think, an affordable rate for what it is. I don't think we will be able to offer them at that rate much longer. But if you're instead talking about a group for family preference categories, like green card holders, petitioning spouses, we do not have a plan for our group lawsuit like that right now, but follow our channel and we will announce it if we do. Also, no matter what immigration benefit you're looking for, we offer mandamus lawsuits if you are facing an unreasonable delay.
Okay, here is a question from Jawid regarding the lawsuit. As the end of the year is not complete yet and will be obvious at the end of September 30th, 2022, whether 55,000 visas are issued or not, isn't it irritating to the authorities to file a lawsuit now? Yes, it is quite irritating. I'm sure they are very upset that they have to defend this, but you can't wait to the end of the year to file the lawsuit, because one, if you file it after the close of the September 30th, after the close of the year, you do not have, you will not be able to be victorious in the lawsuit. You will not win the lawsuit. And there's also another aspect to this. You shorten the window that you can have an order mandating expeditious processing of diversity visas. So you have a shorter amount of time that they have to really pump visas out if the lawsuit wins at the preliminary injunction phase. So, if you look at DV 2020 and DV 2021, there's this huge bulk of visas that get issued in September. It's not because the State Department said, oh, we suddenly love diversity visas. It's because a judge told them to do it. So if you bring it a little earlier, and that's what we've been thinking about, Curtis and I, about bringing this lawsuit at this time, is that perhaps we can expand that window and get even more visas across the finish line before the close of the year. And that's really what everybody wants, right? Nobody wants to be in the state of limbo that DV 2020 and DV 2021 are in, if it is possible to get their visa before the close of the year.
That great answer. I'll add one thing. We are not the first people to file. This group lawsuit is not the first lawsuit on DV 2022. Okay. We've already filed 2 small group cases about an issue about KCC and reassigning interviews, interview locations, and we filed 5 individual cases. And then we have 2 of our colleague competitors who have filed big group cases in Kentucky and one in DC. So this will not come as a surprise to the State Department that they have a lawsuit for DV 2022. It will be the 9th lawsuit that I'm aware of, maybe 10th.
Okay, so this is a question that just expresses the frustration that many selectees have and a lot of people have with just how the processing of visas and interviews goes at the State Department. Our case number is AS 16,000, and our embassy is Mumbai, but numbers higher than ours have been issued 2 NLs. Why is that? KCC is not responding other than that standard template email. Should we join the lawsuit? The short answer to that is yes, you should, because this is what has been going on in diversity visas for far too long. There is no structure to what's going on. It's been confusion at the KCC. The State Department has utterly failed to do this in an orderly process and has now taken it upon themselves to really black out communication at KCC about what they're doing there and the state of individual applications. So I would say join the lawsuit if you really intend on coming to the United States.
I would add, if you're at Mumbai and you have the capacity to do your interview at another embassy, you might want to consider that, because they've only issued 17 DVs and they have probably the biggest backlog in the entire system. Right now, spouses of green card holders have to wait 2 years and 7 months after they are DQ'd before they get an interview. So that tells you how big their backlog is and how just overwhelmed they are. They're understaffed. I have one here. What happens for those who will get selected for DV 2023 while on DV 2022 lawsuit? You will get a letter in May that says you're selected for DV 2023 lawsuit, and we would recommend that you do everything possible to facilitate that application as well. It's good to have an alternative path, right? So complete your DS-260 as quickly as possible for the DV 2023 application so that you can be in line for the interview as soon as possible. The government will not retaliate against you for participating in the lawsuit. That's a question we get a lot. It just does not happen.
Here's, okay. Sorry, Curtis, did you answer the question about the DV 2023s? Lost.
Yeah, the one in all caps from Hawaii. Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Sometimes I lose focus about what you're talking about when I'm looking for another question.
No, my voice is boring.
All right. Do you have any questions, Curtis? I can't seem to find one we haven't answered.
Wow. Oh, here's one. AQ says, do you think the government has solid ground in order to win the appeal, or they just want to delay the issuance of visas? I do not think they have solid ground, but they do not want to issue the visas. This isn't about delaying the visas. They do not want to issue diversity visas, okay? There are bureaucrats within the State Department. Edward Ramatowski, I'm talking to you. Rena Bitter, you're not impressing me. There are individuals within the State Department who are at war with immigration from Africa and at war with the diversity visa program. We don't know why that is, but if it was up to us, they would be fired.
Right, and I think this is very interesting about this. What's going on at the visa office at TravelGov, their Twitter page. It seems that they've taken this view, which is a Trump era policy, that family preference categories and diversity visas are not worthy enough to receive an adjudication. And for the last 2 years, we've seen them completely deprioritize both of these categories of visas and have not taken any effort to reduce the backlog or ensure that those visas are issued before the close of the year of selection. Yes, I would say that there is a group within the State Department that has taken this view that these visa categories are not important to the United States, despite what our Congress has said. And they are behaving as though they're tyrants and that they do not have to listen to the edicts of Congress or the Immigration and Nationality Act.
They are jerks. Ahmed says, "Dear Mr. Morrison, when will you distribute the issued visas of 2020-21? Good luck, plaintiffs." I'm glad for the question, Ahmed, because I can clarify something. I do not issue visas, okay? I do have a printer over here, but it does not print visas, okay? Only consular officers issue visas, and they can only issue those visas after a judge says, go, okay? So we have to wait until we win the appeal, and then Judge Mehta removes his stay, and that will not be realistically. The realistic expectation is early 2023.
Jawad has a question here. It's an important question to those who have already filled out the questionnaire to join the lawsuit. Another question: will we get any confirmation via email from your law firm as we register to participate in the lawsuit in 2022? Because we haven't received any confirmation email after we registered to participate in the lawsuit that you'll find soon. The first thing I would suggest to you is to look to your spam folder to see if perhaps you missed the email or any email from our office. And the second part of that answer is yes, you will receive a confirmation email with your retainer agreement on it. I don't know what the timeline is right now. Curtis, can you answer that? 7 business days after registration, so we can review your documents, ensure that you are eligible to participate, and that we are also parsing out potential fake people that would get onto the lawsuit and lessen the claims of other people based on their fake signups.
For context, we had a few people join the Good Luck lawsuit who were not DV 2021 selectees, and we don't make the same mistake twice. So we've added a layer of diligence where we manually inspect everybody's confirmation page and make sure that they were a DV 2021 selectee who submitted the DV 2022 selectee who submitted a DS 260.
That's right. Okay.
Oh, good question from Wald. Do you think the judge accept to add the visa number for Good Luck? So Wald is talking about our cross motion for summary judgment in the Good Luck lawsuit, where Judge Mehta had reserved 6,914 visas for our Good Luck plaintiffs. But in the reasoning that he used for that, he was basing it upon math that he received from counsel in other cases. And we have compelling reasons why that number, based on his own reasoning, should not have been 6,914, but closer to 10,000. So we have made arguments before Judge Mehta in our summary judgment briefing, very compelling arguments that he should increase the number of reserved visas, but we will not know whether or not he will choose to do that until he issues his order on summary judgment, which we now know as of today will not be until after the opinion is issued by the Circuit Court of Appeals. One last thing on that. We know that all Good Luck plaintiffs will not be issued visas. So do not count on it like it's a done deal. You get a visa because you're a Good Luck plaintiff, because there are many more Good Luck plaintiffs than there are reserved visas.
Yep, and this question is sort of the same thing that Curtis just answered. How would will you dispatch the 7,999 visas? I don't know if that's the right number, but we will not dispatch the visas. And more to the point, the real heart of the question is that we don't know exactly how the State Department is going to do that until they give us some more information about that.
I think people speculating about that just don't. There's no way to know. I mean, we don't know how they give visas now. I mean, we know it's involved with the case number. It's involved with the region ratios. It's involved with another factor is the embassy conditions and when you submitted your DS-260. But how all those things work together in the algorithm, we don't know. Okay, so if we don't know it on a regular year, we don't know it for reserve visas either. I can take this one from Hisham. Judge Mehta asked the government to inform him about the system update. I don't think I wrote down when that comes. July, I think, right?
I think it's July, correct.
Okay. Yes.
Well, maybe Ray was July, but we'll get an update on that in July.
I think they're both. I don't know.
Yeah.
But government, when a judge tells the government what to do, the government does it. Okay. So yes, we do expect them to. I don't think that they will appeal that part of the order because that part of the order is completely reasonable.
Okay. A third question: if someone is denied a visa, is he or she able to get another interview scheduled? For prior years, I don't know if there'll be another interview will be necessary. And then that's really a question on how the State Department is going to interpret the order and the reasons why the case were denied. So that's really an individualized question.
Right.
And we don't have enough information gathered yet, particularly with individuals that have been refused on their travel bans, such as the Muslim and Africa ban, on how that's going to work out. So we have to wait and see.
Every refusal has a different code, like 221G, 212F, and 212A3B. All of those codes are treated differently. And so without knowing the code of the refusal, that's also another problem that makes it impossible for us to answer that question.
Right. Okay, so we're getting some questions here. Let's see. Here's a question. Evelyn asked, if denied a DV 2022 visa and the person is part of the lawsuit, does he have a chance to appeal? And can you assist with the appeal process if allowed? We're not offering consular processor services for DV 2022, so that appeal will not be part of just joining the lawsuit. Certainly not. You can contact us and we can discuss why the reasons you were denied, but that appeal of a denial, if you're a participant of a DV 2022 visa, is not included.
Right. The purpose of our lawsuit is to remove barriers that are common to all. It sounds like you're talking about a barrier that's very specific to your application. That's also hypothetical.
Right. Here's a question that nobody can answer. What is the chances for a plaintiff who is not documentary qualified and he's waiting in a non-busy embassy with a few number of plaintiffs? Really can't tell.
AQ, I have a problem. I don't know if you're DV 2020, 2021, 2022, or if you're a plaintiff in a lawsuit. You didn't say. The fact that you're talking about DQ makes me think that you're not a DV 2022 selectee because DQ is not relevant to DV 2022 selectees.
That's right. Okay. And I think we've came to the end of the hour.
Okay. So the only thing I want to add is we will not extend the registration period for our group lawsuit. As I said before, we've got 684 families who have already hired us to file a lawsuit on a certain day in May. So if we extended the registration, we would be breaking our contract to those. And we don't do that, okay? We don't stop the train so more people can get on board. You all know, everybody watching knows April 30th is the deadline. I also want you to understand you cannot wait until that day and expect that you can get through registration really fast and make a complicated payment arrangement really fast, especially say you're in Russia. It's not always easy doing a money transfer from another country to the United States, okay? So you want to make sure you have time to do that. Do not wait till the last minute. Also, if you have questions about the group lawsuit, do not wait till the last minute. I guarantee you around April 27th, I will be so buried that I will not be answering questions for like 5 or 7 days after I get them. Okay, maybe a week. So if you want a response from me, Rafael, or anybody on our team that is a question that's stopping you from participating in the lawsuit, make sure that comes in today. You know, do not wait, because we will not have time close to April 30th, and then you won't join because you didn't get your answer. But you know, too bad. April 30th is the cutoff.
Great. And on that note, thanks for joining.
Drink water, breathe air. We're going to get through this.
That's right. Talk to you all later.